Hey guys, welcome back to Just a Geek in the Garage. Today I want to talk about hammers. This is going to be kind of the first in the series of Tools 101 for people that are not familiar with certain kinds of tools, that maybe have only owned one type of hammer in their entire life, things like that. So if you're a professional or kind of like an expert DIYer, this is a video you probably should skip. But for the rest of you, if you've ever had questions about hammers and want to ask somebody about it because you didn't want to feel dumb or things like that, just saying, hey, why are there so many different kinds of hammers? All you're doing is hitting something. Shouldn't there just be, a handle with a flat surface to hit? So I'm going to go through some of the common hammer types. Now, this is definitely not an all-inclusive. There's a ton of other hammers out there, especially specialty hammers. Sorry about that. But this is going to be kind of your most common that you're going to see, whether it's an automotive shop, whether it's something else. You're going to see some of these hammers. So I'm going to start off basically with the first hammer that most people are going to be familiar with, which is just your traditional claw style hammer. This one, whether you're putting up pictures or what have you, this is going to be the most common one that pretty much every homeowner is going to have in their toolkit, and it's the one that comes in pretty much every starter basic toolkit kit that you're going to get. As we all know, you can hit your nail with this side right here, and then use the claw in order to take nails back out. So that's why this one is extremely useful. So I'm not going to go over very much on this, but they do come in different handle types. This one happens to be fiberglass. A common one is wood, things like that. Just have to make sure they have a nice sturdy connection right here, so the head doesn't go flying off on you. But something like this is $4 or $5 hammer that does what it needs to do, and works very, very well. From there, the next kind of variation, which looks similar but is a little bit different, is going to be this right here, which is going to be kind of like your demolition type hammer. So as you see here, it's not as curved as the other one, and the reason for that is if you're taking stuff apart, let's say you have a couple pieces of wood that are stuck together, you can kind of use this to hammer in and pry it apart, where with the claw hammer you wouldn't be able to do that. So a hammer like this can be very, very useful, and I would argue that something like this is actually more useful than your traditional claw hammer. From there, we have things like stubby hammers, little guys right here. If you're working on tiny little projects, you don't want to put a whole lot of force in there, or sometimes I'll even have my son use this when he's helping me out, so that he can't hurt himself too much when he's building a project. And again, these type of stubby hammers come in a lot of different styles as well. All right, for me, let's kind of go on to the next style that I probably use more than the ones you just saw. The ones that you just saw, honestly, unless literally I'm hanging up a picture, I almost never use. For me, the two main styles that are going to be the most useful are going to be these two guys right here. So the first one, this is a snap-on. I also have the Icon versions and the Pittsburgh versions and things like that. Is going to be a dead blow hammer. So if you're not familiar with a dead blow hammer, basically it's almost like a plasticky material that it's made out of, and inside it has it's almost like a shot from a shotgun, where I don't know if you can hear that, probably not, but I'm not sure. And what this is designed for is because it has that internal volume of shot. When you go to hammer something, it basically just stops you dead in your place, which is why it's called a dead blow. And then also, if you're working on something like if you're trying to get something off of a car that's stuck, what have you, because it's plastic, it's not gonna hurt the metal. So generally the rule of thumb is whenever you're working on something is to use a hammer that is made of a material that is less hard than that particular material. So a dead blow like this comes in very, very handy. So when you're trying to not mark stuff up, when you want to do something and just not damage it, this is definitely my go-to. And kind of in that same vein, there's other types of hammers that are kind of similar, where you have something like this. It's like a rubber mallet. This is great for, let's say you're putting some wood furniture together or what have you, and you need to put a little bit of force. You can use this and not damage the wood. And then something like this is going to be similar. So this one actually has one metal side, one plastic side, and then with a hammer like this, you can actually also interchange the sides, and it comes with things like rubber and other materials as well. Moving on, we have another kind of dead blow. And this one is similar to the one you just saw. The main difference is this is what's called a ball peen hammer, as is this one right here also. And this one just has a flat side and has a curved side. The curved side is used generally for shaping metal and things like that. So, an average, homeowner or DIYer is not going to use this side at all, but this one's useful. And just like the other dead blow, it has shot in here to help you, hit something for it to kind of stop so it doesn't bounce back. And it also, helps with the vibration of the handle. So if you're, you're hammering on a bunch of nails throughout the day or whatever it happens to be, your hands aren't going to be completely dead by the end of the day. Speaking of that, that's where a hammer like this also comes into play. So this one, as you can see, is all metal. It's not a dead blow, but it's also a ball peen with the rounded side and the flat side. But this one is from Mac Tools. Proto also makes a great version of these. They're almost identical that you can find on Amazon. The Mac ones are just rebranded Mac because they're both owned by the same parent company of Stanley Black & Decker. Where the Proto set is maybe $120 for 4 of these that range in different sizes. Where the Mac ones obviously are going to be much more expensive. So I got these on a promo. That's why I ended up with these because obviously I like green. But these ones are great because they have a technology inside of them. So as you're kind of hammering away, you don't feel it on your hands like you do with another type of hammer. You don't feel that shock to your hands. And then last up is you have something like this, which is this is like a mini sledgehammer. I mean, the thing is super heavy for being such a small hammer. I have ones that are 4 or 5 feet long that have extremely 4 or 5 pound heads on there for actual demolition. But I just want to show this one on camera. So yeah, these are the different type of hammers, at least that I own. Like I said, there's a lot of different hammers out there. Again, generally, my most common hammer that I'm going to grab for is going to be something either like this dead blow, or this ball peen dead blow. And then all the hammers that you've seen here, like I said, they come in different sizes. For example, this one is a 16 ounce. They also make it in 24 and 36. Something like this, will go all the way down to maybe like 8 ounces, and will go all the way up to maybe like 56 ounces. So you can get extremely, heavy on something like that. And that goes the same for almost every single hammer here in front of me. So let me know, guys, what type of hammers do you use? What specialty hammers did I miss? Do you have any questions on any of these? Do you want me to put any, head-to-head, like the Icon versus the Snap-on, and things like that? So thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe.